This video will walk you through the processes of managing your OMH contract in the New York State Grants Gateway system. Please note that you can click on the Show More button in the description below this video to jump to certain portions of the video if you'd like to skip around. We'll start with a discussion about the Grants Gateway user roles. It's important to understand which role does what. First, the Grantee Delegated Administrator. This is the user that is set up initially when your account is created after your registration form has been sent in to the Grants Gateway. This person can do two major things: manage user accounts and update the document vault. The document vault refers to pre-qualification, and that's where you can update documents and policies and procedures and submit them for review. That is a required portion of the Grants Gateway for nonprofits. Again, this user also manages user accounts. They can add, edit, or remove users. We leave it up to you, and specifically your Grantee Delegated Administrators, to decide which people at your organization have access to the Grants Gateway and at what level. Those other levels include the grantee role. This is somebody who can start, save, and edit an application, and they can edit and save details of a contract. So that includes updating the budget information, work plan information, uploads, and related items in a contract. Notice that this role, the grantee cannot submit an application or sign or submit a contract. The next two users can do that though. The Grantee Contract Signatory. They are somebody that has the same rights as the grantee, so they can start, save, and edit an application. They can edit and save details of a contract, but they can also submit or sign an application, and they can also submit or sign a contract. The Grantee System Administrator has very similar rights to the Grantee Contract Signatory. They have all the grantee abilities, but they can also submit and sign applications and contracts, so the same contract signatory abilities. They also have some administrative rights. They can save organizational information page, and they can save and edit and submit the document vault. So as it shows in the bottom here, it is important to have somebody in the role of Grantee Contract Signatory or Grantee System Administrator if you want to submit an application, or in this case, sign a contract. It is suggested that you follow these steps in order to ensure that your contract and all related documents are prepared correctly. The first thing is to make sure that your vendor responsibility questionnaire is up to date. This is something that you do on the State Comptroller's Office website at osc.state.ny.us. The link is on the screen here, and you can follow these instructions from the website. Once that is taken care of, you can log into the Grants Gateway. In this case, I will be logging in as somebody with the role of grantee. Before you access your contract, we would like you to go to the organization page to verify a few other items. So you can click on Organizations. That will bring you to your organization and the organization information page. On this page, there are a few things we would like you to verify. Make sure that the information here is correct, paying special attention to your federal ID number and your charity's registration number. You can see this is a number that is 2 digits, dash 2 digits, dash 2 digits. If you have an exemption code, you can select that from the exemption list. You may not though. We want you to verify your fiscal year end date. That is just the day and month of each year that your fiscal year ends. There are a few other boxes of information about your organization here as well. So once you have verified this page, we also want you to make sure that your document vault is up to date and pre-qualified. You can click on Document Vault and notice the status. In this case, this document vault is only initialized, which means it is not pre-qualified and it needs to be worked on. The Grants Gateway offers manuals, videos, and webinars to help get your organization pre-qualified. But it's important that your status is Document Vault Pre-qualified or Document Vault Pre-qualified Open before you sign your contract. Working on the document vault is beyond the scope of this video. However, it includes filling out and submitting these required forms and required documents. One of these documents is the CHAR 500, the charity's registration document, and it's important to make sure that is up to date as well before you sign your contract. 3 documents that you'll be updating on a regular basis in the document vault is the IRS 990, the Audit Reviews and Findings, which is your organization's audit, and the CHAR 500 or CHAR 410. The CHAR 410 is the initial document that you file your first year, and the CHAR 500 is the document you file each subsequent year. So ensure that your document vault is in the status of Document Vault Pre-qualified or Document Vault Pre-qualified Open. Next, you can go and access your contract. In this case, I've clicked the Home button, and I do have 3 tasks here. If you click on Open Tasks from the home page, you can see you can access your contract. My tasks include the Document Vault, another contract that is at the status of Signature Required, and the contract that I'm going to work on right now, which is application number OMH 01 CBFM 00 2019 00001. Your application number may be different, but it will follow this same structure. So I can access this contract by clicking on the application number. Note, I could also get back to my organization page by clicking on this link right here. But if you don't know the contract number that you're looking for, or you don't have it as a task, you can search for it under the contract search, which is found on the top of the page here. So you'll note that this contract I can work on. It's in the status of Contract Info Requested. But you can also search for it if you go to Contracts and then search for it based on some of these criteria. If you know the grant opportunity name, if you know the ID, you can enter full or partial words here. For instance, I know this is CBFM. So you can put in anything you want to search for it, or you can leave it blank and just search for all contracts you might have. And if you hit the search button, the results will show on the bottom. Now I have several contracts here because this is a test environment, but I do know that the application number 001 is the one I would like to work on, and that's this one right here. This is the same contract and application that I found in my Tasks on the home page. So either way you locate your contract, click on it to begin working on it. Once you click on it, you're brought to the contract main page, and you can see there's an overview here that shows the total for the period, in this case $249,498. It shows the length of the period, in this case 1/1/2019 to 12/31/19. This is a 1-year fixed term contract. It also shows my contract number, which is OMH 01 C20777GG and 385-00000. Next is getting into the details of your contract, and that's done here under the Forms menu. You'll notice you can hover on the Forms menu and scroll through it, but you may find it much easier to simply click on the Forms menu and see the entire menu on the page. You can see it is broken down into different sections. The Contract Document Properties section. This section shows the different documents that make up your contract. It includes a Master Grant Contract. It includes the Master Grant Contract Template, and includes this attachment A1, the Program-Specific Terms and Conditions. You can go through and look at all of these attachments. You can also see there's an attachment A1A, attachment F, and so on. However, we can preview the contract later and we can see all of these documents in one contract. So we'll wait to look at these until later. Go back to the Forms menu, and again, that was Contract Document Properties, and that is for your information only. There is no work you need to do on that page. The next section, Application Information, refers to grant applications. Now this contract does have an application number. Again, it's this number on top here, but it actually was not a competitive application. So there was no application that you created, there was no RFP for this application, and there were no application versions that were created. So you can skip the application information section. The next section is where you'll start your work. And you'll notice that there is a stop sign here, an error message on the contract information page. So you'll have to click on that and take care of that page. And what this page is that it shows you your addresses and allows you to pick the correct one that will show up on your contract. This is a list of addresses that are fed from SFS, the statewide financial system, and we need you to make sure which address is correct, which addresses should show in the primary mailing address, contract payment address, and contract mailing address on the contract itself. So you simply come to this page, select the correct address, and then hit Save. If you do not find the correct address in this list, That is because your address may have changed recently in SFS or needs to be changed in SFS. So that is something you have to do external to the Grants Gateway. You would have to do that in a statewide financial system. Once you do that, you should contact your contract or program manager at OMH to let them know your address has been updated. Next, we'll go back to the Forms menu and go to the next section, Program-Specific Questions. The Program-Specific Questions page asks you to enter your project title and answer these 3 questions. In this case, my project title is MRT Supported Housing Beds. And it asks us the questions that we just verified. Is your document vault pre-qualified? And we'll say yes, we did verify that, and it is in the pre-qualified status. Is your vendor responsibility questionnaire up to date? Again, we did that, and we verified that. And is your charity's registration current? That was the CHAR 500 document, and yes, we did verify that, and we'll click yes on that. So you do want to make sure that these are all taken care of, and you answer affirmative to all of them, and then hit the Save button. If you were to hit the Save button and not complete a required field, such as project title, the system will still save the work you've done, but it will give you an error telling you what you've missed. In this case, we'll go back and put our project title in and hit Save again, and the error will go away. You will not be able to submit your contract unless you take care of all the required fields in these forms. So we are now going to go back to the Forms menu. Next is the Work Plan section in the Forms menu. The Work Plan section includes the Work Plan Overview form and the Work Plan Properties page. You'll need to complete both of these. There are some guidance documents for you to help you organize your work plan. You'll find those here in the pre-submission uploads. So instead of working on the work plan first, let's go here to the pre-submission uploads and view the documents that are here. You'll see that there is the Assistant Outpatient Treatment Rider. That's required if contract services outpatient treatment programs involve court order population. You can click on the Click Here button to view that document. The Budget Requirements document is next, and again you can click the Click Here button to view it. Next is the Work Plan template. You can use this to construct your work plan, and we'll click on this button to view it, and I'll open it and view the Word document. This document, once you enable editing, will allow you to fill out the fields that you'll end up entering into the work plan. You can fill out the general information section on the top, and then fill out the details of your project summary. In the Grants Gateway, this allows up to 50,000 characters, so there's plenty of room to fill out what you need. And you'll add the details of your program right here. This will help you organize your thoughts and also use the grammar and spelling tools to help you organize your work plan overview. Note that it does allow for bullet points and carriage returns, so it will retain that formatting if you number lists or you put in bullet points, but it won't retain any bolding or italics. Next is the The Work Plan Worksheet also gives you the opportunity to fill out your work plan with information about the services you provide, the staffing resources, program goals and outcomes, specific deliverables and timeframes, performance targets and milestones. The worksheet also includes an organizational capacity section, which is a required part of the work plan in the Grants Gateway. Finally, the worksheet allows you to organize your work plan in objectives, tasks, and performance measures. And these are the requirements in the Grants Gateway. You need at least one objective, and each objective needs at least one task, and each task needs at least one performance measure. Think of the objectives as the high-level goals, the tasks as the milestones, and the performance measures as the way of measuring if that milestone was accomplished. Once you fill this section out, you'll have a number of objectives, tasks with names and descriptions, performance measures with names and descriptions that you can copy and paste into the Grants Gateway. Again, the purpose of this worksheet is to allow you to organize your thoughts and manage your work plan layout before you enter it into the Grants Gateway. Once you're ready to actually enter your work plan into the Grants Gateway, you can go back into the Forms menu and down to the Work Plan Overview form. The form starts with the work plan period. In this case, it'll be 1/1/2019. through 12/31/2019. Next is the project summary. You can go to your Work Plan Worksheet and copy and paste the details from your worksheet. If I had text in section 1, 2, 3, and so on, I could copy that text into the Grants Gateway. In this example, I'm just going to type it in. Note that the Grants Gateway counts the number of characters you've entered as you go along. And remember, it does retain bullet points, spacing, and carriage returns. After completing the project summary section, next is the organizational capacity section. If you've used the worksheet, again, you can go back into the worksheet and copy what you've typed in this section. Again, in my example, I will just type information. And I will save this page. Now that the overview form has been completed, you can go back to the Forms menu and the Work Plan Properties page. So again, I could hover on it and click on it, or go back to the Forms menu, scroll down to the Work Plan section, and click on Work Plan Properties. The work plan starts out with simply just one objective. It gives you a blank space for the objective name and the objective description. You can copy and paste your objective name and description from your worksheet. Once you hit save, the work plan will open up with more information. Now there is a new task, task 1.1, which is a task under objective 1. And there's the ability to add a second objective, objective number 2. So if I want to enter in task number 1.1, I can go back to my work plan worksheet and copy that task name and description. Now once you're done with this, you can choose to hit save, which will give you a blank entry for the next task and the next performance measure. If you have a second objective in mind already, you could also type that here or wait until later to fill it out. I'll wait, so when I click save, I now have objective number 1, task number 1.1, and now a blank performance measure 1.1.1, and I also have the ability to fill out task 1.2. So I'll continue on by taking performance measure 1.1.1, which would be my first performance measure here in my worksheet. The Grants Gateway gives you a choice to select what type of performance measure you'd like to enter. In most cases, you'll select a text option. In this case, I'll select text 500 characters. I can go back to my worksheet and copy the text that I've placed in this last field. Notice there's an option to upload a file. Perhaps you have an intake form or an example form you'd like to show. That's not required, and I'm not going to do that in this case, so I will hit save, which now allows me to add a second performance measure, or I could go on to task 1.2, or I could go on to objective number 2. So in this example, I'll add another performance measure, and I'll select the data capture type, and I'll type in the performance measure narrative. When I hit save, it now saves number 1.1.2 and allows me to enter 1.1.3 or move on to 1.2 or yet a new objective number 2. Let's go on and put in a second task and hit save. And as expected, I can now enter in a performance measure for that task. Again, the data type and the entry of the narrative. Finally, I'll go and enter one more objective. And I'll hit save and have the same options. I can start a third objective, or I can add a task to the second objective. And finally, a performance measure. the system will not allow you to submit your work plan without a performance measure for every task. So if I was to enter another task here, and I save it, and if you scroll to the top of the page, you can see there's an error. Task number 2.2 requires at least one performance measure. Please update accordingly. So it's important to remember that every task must have at least one performance measure. So I will enter one in and hit save. There are a few navigation options in the work plan section to be aware of. First, notice the color coding of each section. Objectives are dark blue, tasks are a little lighter blue, and performance measures are even a little lighter blue. You can expand and contract each section if you would like. For instance, you can contract objectives, tasks, and performance measures to get down to the next objective or task. You can contract the entire selection and then scroll to one. For instance, if I want to look at just task number 2.2, I can expand that and continue working on that. Another thing you can do is move objectives, tasks, or performance measures up or down. For instance, let's say that performance measure 1.1.2 really should be up here at 1.1.1. If I click the up arrow here, you can see it has now moved performance measure 1 down to 1.1.2 and replaced it with another performance measure here for 1.1.1. So again, the up or down arrows allow you to move performance measures, tasks, or objectives up or down in the hierarchy. In this example, I've completed my work plan, and I can go back to the Forms menu to continue working on my contract. The next section is the pre-submission uploads, which we have already looked at. And you'll recall there are these 4 documents here to fill out. These documents are not required and only required based on the type of project you may have. However, if you needed to upload a document, you can simply click on the Browse button and attach a document and then hit the Save button. Once you hit the Save button, it will attach your document. You can click the View File link to view the file that you've attached. Finally, the contract has one more section called the Grantee Document Folder. You'll see in this example there are 4 documents here. If we click on the Grantee Document Folder, we can see each one individually. We first have the Contract Summary Report by contract. We can click on View File to view it. The Grantee Document Folder also includes an instructions document. We can click on Go and then View File to view that. It also includes the charity's registration requirements. Again, select it, hit Go, and select the View File. And finally, it includes the workers' compensation and disability benefits requirements. Again, hit Go and View File to view that attachment. You'll need to satisfy all requirements as stated in these documents before you submit your contract. In this example, I've completed my contract information. I've gone through every page in the Forms menu, and I've completed all the necessary requirements. I can now send my contract back to OMH for further processing and then signatures. To do that, I'll need to do a status change. And I can hover over the status change option and select the status of Apply Status to Contract Information Submitted. You'll remember that we're currently in the status of Contract Info Requested. So I'm going to attempt to submit it back, but I'm going to get an error because there's a page I haven't completed yet. So to send it back, you'll remember the status currently is in Contract Info Requested, and I'd like to send it back to OMH by doing a status change and apply the status of Contract Information Submitted. When I do this, the system will check for any errors and anything that I've missed. And it does tell me that I've missed something. I didn't complete the project site address page. So you can click directly on any errors that you have and go back and address that issue. You'll notice that the Regional Council is not a required field. You can leave that blank if you would like. However, agency-specific region is, and you need to select the correct region. In my case, I'm going to select Central Office. Make sure to hit the Save button on this page. And now that I've completed that, I can again try to submit my contract back to OMH. Again, that's status change, and apply the status of contract information submitted. It has now submitted that contract back to OMH. If I click on the Details button, I can see that it is now in Program Manager Review status. So I'm no longer able to edit this contract. You can go back to the Forms menu and look at anything that you'd like, but realize you do not have the Save button anymore. Notice there's no Save button in the blue bar anymore. If there are changes that you realize you forgot to make, you can contact your contract or program manager and they will help you get that edited. When you are done filling out the Grantee Document Folder, it will look something like this with completed documents that you've uploaded. If you follow the directions along with those documents, you'll see that you'll need to upload disability coverage benefits, residential program rider if necessary, vendor responsibility questionnaire, and workers' comp. One thing you want to do before you sign off or submit your contract is to do a contract preview. This will give you a PDF preview of your contract with all the information that you've entered in up to this point. That's found in the Forms menu as well. If we scroll down in the Forms menu, down to the Contract section, you can see a section called Contract Preview. If you click on that, and it will generate a PDF of your contract, allowing you to open it and view it. The contract starts off with a face page going over the contract basics, the name of the agency, the name of the organization that you belong to, and the name of the organization that the contract is with, the type of contract it is, the project name, information about the vendor. You'll remember you selected the addresses on the first page in the Forms menu. That ends up here. If you've selected the same address from more than one field, an X will appear. If an address is different, it will actually show the correct address. And you need to ensure that your charity's registration number has been entered into the system. Page 2 is the dates of the contract and the amount of the contract. You can see in this case the contract is from 1/1/2019 to 12/31/2023. Down below it shows the breakdown of each individual year and how much the contract is for each year. All of that adds up to this number right here in the contract funding amount field. Page 3 includes all the attachments that are part of this contract. It includes the attachment A1, the program-specific terms and conditions. It includes attachment B1, which is derived from the budget that's entered into the grants gateway. It also includes the work plan, which is derived from the work plan that you've entered, and the payment and reporting schedule. This contract also includes several attachments, including the detailed budget, the consolidated budget report. Page 4 is the signature page. Since I'm doing a preview before I've actually signed a contract, you won't find any signatures here yet. However, as the contract goes through the system and gets signed by various people, you'll see the signatures applied as we go through. When I sign the contract, I'll show an example in a few minutes. Page 5 begins the terms and conditions. This is the state terms and conditions, and this is 25 pages. You should certainly read through it. I'm going to skip down to page 30, which will bring me to the attachment A1, the program-specific terms and conditions. These are terms and conditions specific to this program and to the state agency OMH. So you should also scroll through and read these pages as well. Next, it brings you to the budget pages. Remember, the budget is not detailed in this case. This just shows in the other category the total amount for this year. The detailed budget information will be at the end of this contract. And you'll note that it does say see attached CFR for budget details. Next is the work plan. Here are the details of a work plan that was entered. This one happens to have several sections in the project summary. Next is the work plan detail, objectives, tasks, and performance measures. Here's an objective with a name and a description, a task with a name and a description, and performance measures with names and narratives. Next is the payment and reporting schedule, which shows how payments will be laid out. After that, it shows the different reports that are required. The CFR is a report that is required with these contracts. And these attachments were entered by the program staff at OMH. Once you've previewed the contract and verified that everything looks good, you can now send it back to OMH to go through the signature processes. In this case, I've logged in as a Grantee Contract Signatory, and I have a task to sign the contract. I can click on Open Tasks and find the contract that I need to sign in the status of Grantee Contract Signature Required. Remember, I can click on it and get back into the Forms menu for that. If you don't have a task for it, you can also search for it if we go to Contracts and then search for it. I happen to know that this contract is 20888. I can search for that, click the search button, and locate that same contract that is in Grantee Contract Signature Required status. Remember, you can search on any field or leave everything blank and just hit the search button to find all contracts. So I click on the application number, and I'm now able to sign this contract. Again, you may wish to go to the Forms menu and double check everything. One thing you can do now is go to the Contract Versions sections. Instead of clicking on the contract preview, a version has now been saved to the Forms menu. If I click on Contract Versions, I can see the unsigned version here was automatically created by the Grants Gateway and added to this section. Once I sign the contract, you'll see that a new PDF will be created here in the Grantee Signed Contract section. So to sign the contract, again, you'll go to Status Changes and select the option of Grantee Contract Signature Complete. If I click on that Apply Status button, there's an agreement I have to read. Go through and read that and click on I agree. This now signs the contract in your name, puts in your title and the date, and moves the contract to the next status. By clicking on the Details button, we can notice that it's now back at the state agency at the Contract Package Validation status. If I go back into the Forms menu and down to Contract Versions, you can see that a new contract version has been created here. And when I click on it, we'll see that my signature has been added to the page. Scrolling down to page 4, you'll notice your signature has been added, the name, the title, and the date it was signed. The contract will now move through the approval statuses. We can get an idea of what those statuses are by clicking on the menu button and going down to the Period Schedule Report document. This report is a PDF that shows the different statuses in the contract development process and the different statuses in the contract approval process. You'll see how many days were scheduled for each status, how many days it actually took to perform that task. In this case, it's going through the signature statuses now, and you can see the different statuses that it'll go before it gets to be a signed, executed contract. Scrolling to the second page will show you the actual dates that it went through each process. When your contract is executed, you'll receive an email from the program letting you know that it has been complete and it is now a live executed contract.